tells like I want a countdown. Apparently we're live now. So
Hey,
hello all.
we're live.
That looks blurry, so I'm gonna adjust that. David, you talk to him.
Hello, everybody. We're now live. We haven't started recording yet, so this is just sort of behind the scenes stuff. Joe's trying to focus the camera. It's really exciting. Are you trying to autofocus?
Is that focused?
Yeah, that's good.
That looks focused to me.
That's nice and sharp.
All right, there we go. Cool. So yeah,
Sweet.
Here we are. All right. So obviously, welcome to the live stream. As per usual, our 7:30 approximately live stream on Thursdays. Those of you that are joining us, thank you for joining us on live stream. We are excited to have you. I do really enjoy this format. Like seriously, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
The best part about it is the interaction with the fans.
Mhm.
Like I love being able to read questions.
Yeah,
just
and answer
live.
them on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more fun. It also makes the episode last longer, just naturally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
But anyway, so here we are, live stream. Obviously, you'll see a very large screen in the background. We're going to be using this for a lot of the articles and stuff. There is obviously a Supra in the background. Those of you that can see that. I don't intend for this screen to be something for you guys to be able to read, but it's just one more thing that you can look at. Like, hey, they're talking about this, and then that way I don't have to turn over here to go read something. I can just read it right off the screen here.
It's not ideal probably to look at things, but it gives you an idea. We can point to things now.
Right. Yeah, we can go that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And David and I can look at the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to start the audio version now. I will be switching over to Audition right now, and here we go. Are you ready?
Ready?
All right. Alrighty. Welcome to the Drivers Only Podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm David.
This is episode 129. Thank you all for joining us. David, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
It throws me off every time. Still, I'm just not used to it often enough. I'm fine. Thank you, actually. I've gotten a lot of time on my coils on my car.
Oh, yeah.
And that's starting to change my mentality of driving. It's a little weird.
Really?
Weird.
What do you mean? How so?
I have to avoid things
Oh.
because I rub. I don't rub a lot, but I rub some. Like big, it's the humps, it's the dips, right? So you don't like. It's not the railroad track itself that causes a problem. It's the getting off the railroad track where it goes down and then exactly. And that's and I rub a little bit, not a lot. Like
see, you say that now.
Tires won't last as long as they theoretically should they?
Yeah. You're going to run into a problem if you leave it like that for probably a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we should announce we often drink bourbon. I've been meaning to say this. Those of you that are listening, you're not going to be able to see this, but those of you that are on the live stream, this is our bourbon of choice tonight. This is the Elijah Craig small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It is I haven't tried it actually yet. I just picked this up tonight. It's pretty good.
It's very good.
Got a lot of cherry on the nose. I like it.
I don't get any of that.
Ooh, that's very good.
I like it a lot.
I quite like that. Okay, so anyway,
I can't pick out the flavors or anything, but I like it.
You make it up until you start to figure it out, and then once you figure it out, you're like, I don't know what I was talking about back then, but I got it now. So anyway, those of you that see our bottle of bourbon there, that's what we're drinking. We are not sponsored by Elijah Craig or Heaven Hill or any of that sort of stuff. We just decided to drink their stuff.
We just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good. But anyway, back to the coils, because we haven't. So last week we had Carter and John on, and we talked about the motor show for almost the entirety of the podcast.
Yeah,
which is kind of necessary at that point. And then obviously we released a bonus episode to you guys over the weekend that was at the car show, in which case we also didn't talk about the coilovers. So as far as you guys know, I put the coilovers on and I still have not talked about them. So the coilovers have been pretty good. The coils themselves have not been an issue. The wheel size in particular in the rear, it's not really the tire size. If you think about it, it's more the wheel size.
You mean the offset?
No, the width.
Okay.
The 11.5-inch wheel makes it difficult.
Okay.
Is creating a little bit of rubbing. Because the problem is you space the wheel enough away from the actual shock tower, so it's not scraping on the shock tower, the coil, and that's great. But now you're scraping on the outside, so the fender does need to get rolled. I mean, there's a big, you felt it before. There's a big portion on it that really should be rolled, and it doesn't need to be rolled a lot. It just needs to be folded in just a touch. And I think once we roll that, all of it's going to go away.
I think so too.
So. It is on full stiff in the rear. It's not actually that bad. I'm surprised. And I'm not saying this in any kind of I swear it's okay. Like, I'm not trying to be defensive. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, I rode in the car, and it's you wouldn't really even notice that it's on coilovers,
No,
really,
I would
when you're just driving around.
Right. I would describe it as it feels like new suspension.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you actually drove the car a little bit in some twisties. What little twisties we have here in Fort Myers. But you took it aggressively around some areas. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, it feels almost undramatic.
It's very happy being put in whatever position you put it in and then staying there.
Yeah, once it's there, it's not sort of moving around all over the place, but it feels very predictable and it's definitely responsive. And it's I was curious because I want to learn more about suspension now. And I was talking to Drake, who loves suspension.
Okay, so disclaimer here. We had given Drake, I don't remember if it was on the podcast at all, but I know at least during texts, I was giving Drake a little bit of crap about how long until he starts to get frustrated with the actual build of the car or the suspension input in the car. He didn't.
No?
Like legitimately the whole time. He did run over his toe with the car and the wheel like the wheel jacks where you put it on the little wheel so you can roll it around in the shop. He did run over his toe, and that hurt a lot, so he complained about that. And I don't blame him.
I feel like that would be pretty bad.
He's earned the complaining on that one.
Yeah.
But no, didn't complain about suspension. He was actually like eager to do it. And the funny thing was he kept trying to come up with, how can I shortcut the Porsche forums? How can I be smarter than the Porsche forums? What if I do this? And there was a couple of times where we actually did things that like the forums or videos had said, hey, you have to remove this. And we're like, no, just compress the damn thing. So there was a little bit of stuff like that, but not a lot. For the most part, the forums were pretty dead on.
But
I was shocked to see him so eager to do something.
Yeah, he seems to love this stuff. And I was talking to him a little bit because the coilovers I just bought are similar design, just a standard coilover. And I was asking him, like, you know, the settings when you're changing.
Have we told them that you bought coils? I think we told them on the bonus episode,
other podcast over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah. So David bought coilovers for the S2000. Those of you that follow us strictly on live stream.
I think hopefully they'll ship soon. I got an email.
Oh, they haven't been shipped yet?
No. Well, they're built to order.
Oh, that's right. You had said that.
Yeah, they take. I think they say conservatively like 3 weeks. So I'm hoping they'll be here a little sooner. But I got an email that the order was completed. Does that mean they're ready to ship? I don't know.
That would mean they're likely going. Did you get that email today?
Like 2 days ago.
I would imagine they're going to ship by the end of the week, and then they're not going to ship over the weekend, and then they're going to ship over Monday through X day. Where are they coming from? California.
I can't remember. They do it through Injuku, so wherever they're based out of.
Injuku's based out of Orlando.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can't remember now.
If it's coming from Injuku, you're getting it the day a day after it ships.
No, it must have come straight from them. And I think they're in Georgia. I don't know.
Unless Injuku moved, but last I had heard, Injuku was in Orlando.
Don't quote me, but I think it's around. It's like Georgia or South Carolina. I don't remember. Okay. Virginia, maybe.
Nonetheless, you should get it very quickly.
Yeah,
and once it's shipped,
that'll be exciting. And then from there, it's order wheels and tires, and then I'll have proper car.
I'm excited. The thing felt good. I got to drive it a little bit aggressively. David actually allowed me to do this. I know this is shocking to everybody that's ever listened to the podcast, but
one of two people that can do that, I will say.
What, Drake and I?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I got the chance to drive it, just not super aggressively because my nature is that's not mine. I'm not going to break it. So I was careful.
Yeah.
I was carefully aggressive, I guess would be a good way to
describe
it. So, but it was shocking how eager it was to just do things.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't necessarily good things all the time, but it was very eager to do whatever it was about to do.
It's very adjustable.
Yeah. So it stepped out on me, and I was like, no, I don't want you to step out. And it was very eager to get back into place, but then I was like, no, that's too much back into place. I want you to step out a little more. And it was just as eager to step out again.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how that differs now with the suspension, wheels, tires kind of setup.
Yeah.
If you start to fall more into where the Cayman is, where it's just plan it and it's done.
Well, that's part of why I was talking to Drake, because I was like, so how should I set up this car? you know, and he said basically, I mean, it makes sense. You want the car as soft as possible, obviously.
Optimally.
Yeah. And because I was asking him,
for
like,
day-to-day comfort, yeah, optimally.
I was like, what happens when you go full stiff, you know, with that type of coilover? Because when you do that on a standard coilover, you're adjusting the compression and the rebound at the same time. So when you make it full stiff, you're making the compression stiff and the rebound stiff.
Right.
So essentially, you're making it so that the coilover, you know, it's very stiff for compression, but then also it's very stiff. So it's
quick
almost
in both
not,
directions.
It's almost barely moving.
Right. It's quick to react to the bump, or it's quick to take the bump and quick to react to the bump.
Yeah. But basically, and that's the advantage of like when you see remote reservoirs and stuff where you have compression and rebound, you can have a really stiff compression, but then it'll slowly come back, or you could, you know, vice versa. You could tune all that.
Right.
And but that's one of the things I was curious about. So I'm gonna, you know, because I don't want to lose the balance that the car has now. And I'm almost afraid that I'll mess it up or make it worse or make it understeer or something.
I can understand the fear, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, that's why I got the standard spring rates and everything, so I didn't do anything weird.
Okay.
And I know Fortunato, they do actually test the spring rates and everything, so the setup is just off the shelf, but it should work for the car.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited to have a full package instead of, because in the past I've had cars with exhaust, I've had cars with wheels and tires, but
You've never done a full done car.
Not everything at the same time that I want. So I'm excited for that.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, the closest thing I've had, I guess this is probably the most full done car I've had. Yeah. But the turbo would probably be the next closest.
Yeah.
You think between the exhaust and I had put coilovers in the rear, lowering springs, and Kona yellows in the front.
Yeah.
Which is a normal setup for that car. It sounds weird, but
it does sound
those
really weird.
Those of you that are new, that is a normal setup for the car. Because for the people that don't want to spend thousands, not just thousands of dollars on the suspension, what you can do is you put the adjustable Kona yellows in the front, which are adjustable dampening with lowering springs. So you've created your own coilover in the front, and then you put the coilovers in the rear and you remove the torsion bars, which sucks, by the way. Don't do it. It's not that it sucks to drive, it's just that it sucks to do. So
I see.
Yeah, don't do it if you can avoid it.
But no, I'm pretty excited for that, and now I just need to decide what wheels I'm going to get.
How difficult is the process in the coilovers before we dive into the wheels?
Shouldn't be too bad at all.
Can we do it in the garage?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to drive up to Winter Haven?
No.
Even though we could drive up to Winter Haven and use the roads.
Well, I thought about that, but the problem is it's on the crap tires, so I don't know. I want sticky tires first.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway, so wheels you had talked about on the bonus episode. For those of you that I don't know why any of the podcast listeners would not listen to the bonus episode, but I'm going to talk about it as if you may not have listened to it.
Yeah.
But those of you that did not listen to it, we had talked a little bit about David was looking at the PFO ones. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
So PFO ones by NK, and they're pretty good looking wheels. They're not ugly by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not bite the back of your hand beautiful.
No.
So, nor are the RPF ones, but the RPF ones work so well on the S2000. They just look right. And at the car show for the bonus episode, there was a S2000 with RPF ones in what setup?
It had 17 by 8s in the front and 17 by 9s in the rear. And the 17 by 8s have a sort of funky offset that I am not a fan of, at least in pictures. But at the car at the show, it didn't bother me that much, actually. And I kind of like the idea, because I don't want to over-tire the car. I mean, it's not all that powerful, and, you know, I don't want to just... I like the idea, you know, a meaty-looking setup is nice, but also something that maybe is more efficient given the horsepower of the car. Like, I don't need 255 squared.
You mean you don't need 285, 265?
No.
But why?
Because you don't need that.
But you can have it.
But I can have a smaller, lighter wheel. You know,
but you could have. Me, David.
No, I know, and
no, I agree.
But that's what I'm going back and forth between is a sort of functional setup or just.
And I would agree for the S2000 in particular, because the S2000, especially, like, one of the big reasons I was so keen on getting big meat for the Cayman was because when you look at the Cayman from behind,
Mhm.
there's a lot of tires showing.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of having the meat from the behind. It adds to the look of the car. At the end of the day, the tires they're not only functional, they are aesthetic.
I would argue that tires make the biggest difference in determining how your car looks. I don't think people realize it.
They can, yeah.
But the difference between like an asymmetrical all-season tire and like a R compound, and it totally changes the look of the car.
Yeah, I'm not willing to disagree with you there.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is in that situation, because of the setup that I knew I was going to have on the car and everything that the total package,
Mhm.
it needed really wide tires in the rear because it just has to look like that's the look that the car needs. When you put 245s, like if I put my old rears on that car,
Yeah.
you would look at it and go, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
It is so bad.
Also,
they're
the body.
just
I
so
think
narrow.
the body suits the wider tires.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it does. So what I'm getting at is with the S2000 in particular, because there's not a whole lot of rear tires showing from like the back, literally the back of the tire
Mhm.
from behind the car, I don't think it's as important to have that meaty setup as it would be on a Cayman where it's showing everything.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean,
so I think you can get away with more functionality or more fun having, however you want to describe it. I mean, maybe to be honest, I love my 285s. I love having grip all the time, but I tried to slide a little bit earlier today and I was like, God, I ran out of grip, or I ran out of not having grip. It just all of a sudden hooked up and I was, damn, okay, well, we're done. We're done there.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll get frustrated trying to decide between the 17x8s and the 17x9 RPF ones, and then just go with the PFO ones. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen.
Don't do it, please. Don't do it. Not because the PFO ones look bad, but because the RPF ones look right. And I still stand by the fact that I think the NTO3s are the best looking, but I understand not wanting to go with the NTO3s.
Yeah, you run into the same sort of... Well, the real issue with the NTO3s is finding the fitment, or, you know, I think they run into the same issue as the RPF ones, where they look really crap at the offset that I need.
Yeah.
So probably not going to do that, but
that's fine.
I would love to. I'd love our NTO3s.
I think the NTO3s are the best looking that NK has to offer, with the exception of those 3 spokes that I had on my my M3, which I can't remember offhand what those were called, but they're weird and you have to get them from Japan. And the thing is, people, how can I describe this? For everybody that's never looked at 3 spokes, take your time to think about whether you like them or not, because you either hate them or you like them. There is no in between. There's no in between whatsoever. Drake and I are both big 3-spoke fans. David,
I think they're terrible.
Not at all. Like, not even a little bit. Lee, I'm not sure about.
Lee doesn't know.
He sent the worst set of 3-spokes I've ever seen in that group chat the other day.
They were the worst thing I've ever seen.
But anyway, so we got coilovers coming for the S2000. I'm very excited. I'm happy to help you put those on. What do
we got over there?
What do you mean, what do we got over there?
I think we got a Drake.
Oh, we got... The Super looks great. Not too many great... Okay. And he commented those were RS3s. He's right, in the NKs. Drake actually bought those. So they were the NK RS3s.
What? Oh, those
wheels,
3 spokes?
3 spokes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Thank you, Drake. I'm glad Drake tuned in. Why does he have... He has a grumpy cat as his icon. The best part is Drake is not tuned in as Becky Burgoon. He's
himself.
He's himself today, yeah. So, but anyway, so we'll dive into some of the articles. You want to talk about some of the auction stuff first? I think that's probably the quick stuff we can talk about.
Pretty interesting.
Obviously, we have something right here. This is a big deal. This from Motor Trend, and does that say by words? That literally says by words. I'm not.
It says by words.
Rory Janeka.
By words. Okay. I think they meant to just say words.
Or words by.
Yeah, but because photographer, and I think it was just meant to be words.
Yeah, nonetheless, I think the author is Rory Janeka, and if we're incorrect and Motor Trend rather is actually listening to this podcast, then please feel free to correct us. But the likelihood of them actually listening to this is low at best. But the first 2020 Supra sold for $2.1 million at Barrett-Jackson auction. How much would you pay to own the world's first production 2020 Supra? What would you pay?
Honestly?
Yeah.
MSRP.
Okay. I was going to say the same. Yeah. I probably less than because I'm not. I don't like it. But as somebody that said on the previous podcast, you liked it.
Yeah, but without going too far into it, to me, if you're gonna get the first one ever made, to me that's only important for like really mass produced cars, like the first Beetle. That's interesting to me. The first 2CV, the first Mini.
One of 500 doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
Or how many ever they end up developing.
Yeah, I don't.
But anyway, before you say anything, know that someone at today's Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale auction topped the number probably by quite a bit. That's because they just bought the Supra VIN 20201 for a cool 2.1 million. I like the whole OCD thing that's just occurred there. It's 20201 for 2.1.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Anyway.
For the 2020 Supra.
Yeah, even better. That might seem like an excessive premium on a car that will have a starting price of $50,920, but beyond the cool factor of owning the first example, the entire bid will benefit the American Heart Association, which was the same charity that we just used for the FGCU Motor Show. So congrats to them. And the Bob Woodruff Foundation. The Supra has also been signed by Toyota's CEO Akio Toyoda, and bids came fast and furious, steadily building in $100,000 increments.
Jeez.
To surpass 1 million, and then moving even higher to the final 2.1 million bid. The Supra was flanked on stage by dozens of Toyota employees, and the auction crowd responded excitedly as bids climbed. Deafening cheers. This is the rest of it. Kind of goes into what the car actually is. We know what the car is. I don't see this car selling for more than that. I think this whoever just bought this car either bought this as a collector's item or bought it at a loss.
Yeah, I mean they either really care about this charity, or
and that may be the case.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he's ever gonna get his money back. I don't see it with this car in particular. If you told me that something else was up there as a one of one, like maybe the 935, I could see pulling that. You know how they released that 935 GT2 essentially. Yeah. I could see them somehow selling for more than 2.1. But this is at the end of the day, this is still a 300 horsepower Toyota. But it's not even that.
BMW Supra.
What does the first one really signify?
There's nothing special about it. Yeah, I mean, unless it is plastered all over the place as one of blank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I have to say though, I like this color combination, and this illustrates the issue with the front nose. I think it's just that shape right under the badge. It's just weird.
There's a whole lot of bad.
I like the rest of it. I think is great, but just that nose. It literally has a nose.
It just looks so, for lack of a better term, it looks like they took a perfectly German car and made it Japanese. If that makes sense. You know
what? I think they did that.
Right. But, like you look at the body lines, the overall body lines, you're like, that's not that bad. I like that in a way.
It's got a great silhouette.
And then you start to look at some of the other details on it, which would be the details that the Japanese would start to affect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's problematic, at least for me. I don't think it's a good looking car.
I don't know. I'm curious to see how
overall, it's not that bad. You're right. It has a good silhouette.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how, if I get used to it, sort of like every time McLaren releases a car, I hate it. And then 3 months later, I love it.
Their early cars still look like catfishes. I'll stand by that forever. But anyway, should we go into the next one that's sold on auction?
Yeah.
All right, because there's not much else left to say. So this from Automobile Magazine by Kelly Plescott. First 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 sells for $1.1 million. So literally $1 million less than the Supra.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know a ton about this car, but I know enough to know that's a bargain in comparison.
Really?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. Because neither one of them are going to end up making any money, right?
No.
If anything, this one will be the one to make the money.
I sort of see what you're saying because it has more of a name. It has the Shelby name. It's a GT500.
Man, it's a badass car.
Is it though?
Kind of. Anyway, let's dive into this. So the 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 doesn't go on sale until the fall, but the first copy has already been sold. VIN 001. That's not the VIN. That can't be the VIN. There's got to be a whole bunch of other numbers.
Maybe they're just trying to say it was the first. I don't know.
Anyway, Barrett-Jackson collector car auction in Scottsdale, Arizona, a cool 1.1 million. I like how both of those cars were described as a cool 2.1 million and a cool 1.1 million. But Edsel B. Ford II and Aaron Shelby, grandson of Carroll Shelby, introduced the GT500 onto the block. The winning bidder was none other than Craig Jackson, the chairman and CEO of Barrett-Jackson, who will now have the opportunity to customize the car from among its available colors and options. All proceeds from the sale will benefit the JDRF, an organization supporting type 1 diabetes research. The sale adds to more than $3.5 million that Ford contributes to the JDRF each year.
Wait, what? So where did this sell at?
1.1.
No, where? What auction house?
Scottsdale.
Was it a Barrett-Jackson auction?
Yes.
He bought a car at his own auction.
Yeah, he did. The new GT500 packs a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 that will exceed 700 horsepower, 600 pounds-feet of torque. Although the final output numbers haven't been revealed, the engine will produce well more than 662 horses and 631 pounds-feet of torque that the previous GT500 stirred up with its supercharged 5.8-liter. 0 to 60 is in the mid 3-second range. Similarly, Ford has announced the MSRP of the 2020 GT500, hasn't announced it, but you can expect to pay a decent premium over the $60,000 asking mark of the 2019 GT350. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, nothing about this article leads you to believe anything else.
That is an ugly car, though.
It's not great, but none of the new Mustangs are great. You want to talk about the new Catfish?
The new GT, I think, looks fantastic.
Just the standard 5.0 Mustang.
Standard 5.0.
Yeah, you have eyes. Yeah, you've got them, right?
Yeah. No, it looks good.
Okay, they work, right?
Yep. I like it.
You're blind. It's bad. It's really bad.
Do you not like the squinty eyes?
Yeah, I don't like the fact that it's getting ominously close to an F body in its front.
I like that. I think it looks good.
Yes, it does look good. So does a pile of shit.
It looks better than that.
I'm not saying this is
terrible.
Great. This isn't. I don't look at this car and go, ooh, the looks. But no, it's bad. The problem is they hit their peak in the 2014-15 or 13-14 model year. What was that one that you had? They shared the same, right? But they shared 13-14 or 14-15. I can't remember.
The facelifted.
Yeah.
Coyote, basically.
Yeah, that was the best body. By far, by a very large margin. That might be the best rendition of a modern muscle right next to the Challenger.
To that point, I think the previous generation GT500 is a much more desirable car than this.
Yeah. Well, especially right now. I would buy one right now if I was in the market for one of these, because it's only going to go up in price, considering they're right around 30 grand now. 30, 35, something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to go up. They're about to go up.
They look so good.
They look really good, and they've got...
I've said ridiculously fast.
I've said it forever. It's the original Hellcat. That's why I hated that Dodge was like, guys, look what we did. It's like, Ford's been doing it for a while, and I'm not a Ford fan. Ford's been doing this for years.
Oh, it just goes to show you, what marketing can do.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's exactly right. But anyway, one last thing on the auctions. We have here from Road and Track by Chris Perkins. That purple McLaren Senna sold for $1.45 million at auction. The Senna number 5 was auctioned off at Barrett-Jackson. I would imagine it's the exact same Barrett-Jackson. It actually is. Update on the, according to January 20. So it was updated today. This used Senna ended up selling at Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale auction for $1.45 million, almost exactly what it was estimated to go for. For some context, that price is about $485,000 over the Senna's MSRP. Just digest that for a second, right?
That's a house. That's a nice house.
That's a house that's well more than what we're currently in. Anyway, worth it for that color, we'd say so. Our original article of this car's listing, published January 18th, 2019, can be seen below. The first McLaren Senna was delivered to the U.S. last summer, and there's already one going up for auction, and it presents a good opportunity for someone who has initially allocated one of just 500 Sennas planned to be built. I don't care too much about what the car. We know what the car is, right? It's a purple Senna. It's ugly because it's Senna, but it's awesome because it's a Senna. Like,
Yeah, it's not pretty, but it does look. I think it looks cool, if you can say that. Does that make sense?
okay, so Drake asked, "Do you like any current car?" Drake, are you asking me or David? Because I don't know who you're referring to. We both dislike a lot of current cars. But no. So for this one, it doesn't shock me. This is the type of car that I would say, like, if you're going to go into an investment, this is what you should be doing. Like,
Really?
it doesn't surprise me that this car just sold for $485,000 over its MSRP. I don't see the Supra. Like, granted, a Supra just sold for 2.1 million. That's almost 4 times the MSRP.
Yeah.
Right. Or it probably is 4 times the MSRP because it was what, 50 grand, right?
Yeah.
So sold for an astronomical amount. Now, this next time it's sold is probably going to sell for that or more. Whatever so this 1.45 is, I don't see it selling for less than that. I don't see the Supra selling for more
No,
than 2.1.
I it's hard to say. I think it'll taper off. It's just like 911s, right? They come out with a special edition 911, they spike immediately because everybody wants it. And then in a couple of years, Porsche, guess what they do?
I'm really interested to see what that you remember the Turbo S that came out as that gold model with the one-off wheels.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see next time one of those pops up on the auction.
The problem is Porsche always comes out with something better and more desirable. And so I always wonder, like, what's going to happen to these older models?
Yeah.
Especially, they came out with the 911R, but then all of a sudden they come out with the next generation GT3, and everybody loves it because it's better than the R.
You want to talk about something? If I had the money to do it now as an investment, if I had a bunch of money, and they said, "What do you want to invest in?" I would buy a GT3 Touring and leave it parked.
Really?
That thing is going to skyrocket. I guarantee you.
Why? Because it was a rare option?
Because it's just, yeah, it's weird. It's and Porsche.
You think more than the R?
More? No. But you can't get your hands on an R.
Yeah.
You can get your hands on a GT3 Touring relatively easily.
I see what you're saying. But you know what I mean? Like, the problem with 911s is they're all sort of the same. And so, like, something with this Senna, right? There's nothing like the Senna.
That's right.
You can't go to McLaren and go, I want something sort of like the Senna, but not just a little bit less. You can't do that.
No, I mean, the closest thing to it is the P1, and that's not even close.
Yeah. And then, down from there is the 720, and it's nothing like that. Whereas with Porsche, you're like, I can't get an R, but I'll take a GT3.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're pretty much halfway there.
Yeah.
So I think this will hold its value pretty well, but I think it'll taper off. And then maybe in the future they'll go back up again. But
how long until you think museums like the Peterson or like Revs and stuff like that start to take hold of items like this? Because currently, I mean, I haven't been to the Peterson, but obviously I've been to Revs.
Yeah,
and Revs has almost exclusively old cars. I mean, your F1 has got to be one of the newest cars that you guys have there, right?
It is the newest car.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay. So my point stands. I mean, it's so at what point do museums start to switch over? Where do you see that? Or does it happen at all?
I think it's going to take you need younger people to be in charge of the decision making in order for that to happen. Because
the Peterson has I believe they have one of the LTWs, the M3s, which are super rare.
E36?
The E36 LTWs, which are super rare. I think if I remember correctly, they have one of those.
Yeah,
I cannot see the Revs having one of those.
No,
and it's not. That's not a fault. I'm not picking on them by any stretch of the imagination.
It depends what you're trying to do, obviously. But I think museums. The problem is, we think of history as like really old stuff, and the problem is, these cars aren't old enough. It's gonna even cars from the 1980s. I don't think people look at those as old cars yet, and it's sort of.
Well, the problem is a lot of them can still be driven too, which I think is a thing.
Well, that's something that's going to happen with modern cars. They're so reliable, that with normal maintenance, you can keep those things going, and they'll almost be less special.
You say 80s cars, and I think I kind of move on to 90s just naturally because I think of something like one of the really rare cars, right, that you're never going to see on the road, or if you do, you're very lucky. but should theoretically be a museum piece, but can very easily be driven on a regular basis, is the 968 Club Sport.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird car. That's a museum piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nothing about it shouldn't be running. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
where does that crossover occur all of a sudden?
It's going to happen at some point. I think it'll happen when the bottom falls out of the collector car market, I think.
Okay.
Because you're going to run out of people who really care about the really old stuff. And you're going to see the market shift towards the newer stuff. And people start grabbing them. You start to see it happening now with the 90s Japanese cars. And I think, over time, there's going to be less and less interest. I don't think it's going to go away. But I don't think you're going to see people paying crazy money for really old stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's normal. It's like nobody right now our age is going, wow, I can't wait to buy a Stanley Steamer when I grow up. That doesn't happen. And that's normal, I think. And those cars will always be worth money, but they won't be worth stupid money.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, is you look at our generation in particular, how many kids our age, and I use our age loosely. I'm thinking, so we're 25 and 26 years old, 10 years more, 10 years less. How many of those guys at anywhere from 16 to 36 are going, I really want a 60s Camaro, or I really want the big body GTO.
Yeah, no.
It's not a thing. So it's going to really move the car market a lot, I think.
I am really curious about that, because you got to imagine people, buying these Hemi Cuda convertibles for millions of dollars.
That's not a thing anymore.
Right? That can't go on forever.
Yeah.
No matter how rare it is, ultimately, the only thing people don't understand that what drives these prices is desirability. And that is not something that's inherent.
It's so volatile.
Yeah.
It's such a volatile market.
So, would you pay $1 million for a Hemi Cuda? Even if you had it, would you buy it?
No.
Exactly.
Not even close.
And that's the thing. If you gave me $1 million,
so many other cars I'd pick.
Yeah, exactly. If I was a billionaire and you said, David, would you rather buy this Hemi Cuda or this McLaren? I'd go, the McLaren.
You're right. It's exactly right. Yeah. And it's really interesting because damn well, and this is where it would be fun to have somebody that's much older on the podcast.
Yeah.
To talk about this subject in particular, like your dad, who's been around cars forever, big time muscle car guy.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun to have him on and go, would you rather have this? And you go, no, I'd have the American one.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, he would. But that's
there's
a perfect
nothing wrong with it. But that's just the generations, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's at the end of the day, when you grow up watching 60s muscle, like full blown Detroit muscle, street light to street light, that kind of stuff, that's all it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
And for us, we watch track cars, right? We watch proper racing. At the end of the day, we want things that go around corners very quickly, and that's not a thing. Now, granted,
but
a lot of these cars that we like will probably kick whatever quarter mile American car's ass they want to come up with. But
I still think, cars like the Demon, the Hellcats,
they have a place.
Exactly.
They
The ZL1s,
have
the GT500s, they will be worth money one day.
But the ZL1's a perfect example, right? Look at what Chevrolet has done.
Yeah.
So Chevrolet, who is arguably the biggest muscle car maker that's out there. I mean, Corvettes sell more than anybody else. Now, granted, Corvettes can kind of turn. They do it pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
But the ZL1 1LE, right?
Yeah.
Could you ever imagine them making anything that would handle that comparably in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, whatever? So Europe is developing cars like take for example just like the 944 or the 190E, right?
Yeah.
Chevrolet was never going to develop anything that was even remotely close to that.
No.
Now they're trying to corner that market.
Yeah.
They're doing what they can to push their own cars, which are muscle cars, towards that part of the market. I think they are recognizing we got to change quickly.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually think that's kind of unfortunate.
In a way, yes, I agree.
Because the more cars become all like each other, the less variety we'll have and the less personality we have. That's why everybody loves the Hellcat so much, because it has personality. It's just a 700 horsepower ridiculous fast car. It doesn't try to set lap records around
right.
Laguna Seca. It just goes, the salesman just has to turn up and say, it's got 700 horsepower. It's called a Hellcat.
Yeah.
And people go, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. No, and you're exactly right. And I think this is something that Drake and I have talked about before, and Drake being such a big fan of this form of racing, but
Yeah.
BTCC was so good for creating a a divide in car manufacturing, because the American cars that would compete in BTCC were insanely fast on the straights, right? And then as soon as you started to hit any sort of twisties, they were terrible.
BTCC cars?
The BTCC when the American cars were competing in BTCC.
Oh, way back.
Yeah. I'm not.
I don't know if it was BT. I don't know if it was actually referred to as that.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. British touring cars from the 60s.
Drake, you're watching. Help me out here. But yeah. Anyway, what I'm getting at is when touring cars for the Americans were big muscle cars and they were insanely fast on the straights, and they would win races because of that. But then you would have literally the exact opposite in that. The British cars were developing these tiny little roadsters that were great
like
at handling.
Minis versus Ford Galaxies kind of thing.
And they would win races. And at the end of the day, the season was set up really well. So both parties had a chance at winning the championship.
Yeah.
That kind of setup, I think, actually created a great dichotomy, for lack of a better phrase, in that every single car that everybody was pushing out was their own kind of special car, right? If at the end of the day the tracks catered to only this type of car, then everybody was going to develop only this type of car.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem with where we're going now is that technology has gotten us past the problems of speed and cornering. now we're finding both. And that's where you're starting to see this failure for one or the other. And that's why the Demon's so refreshing, or the Hellcat is so refreshing, because it's like, I don't give a shit about cornering. I'll just go straight and fast.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And I think it started with some of these supercars that are just so competent. Stuff like the McLaren and the modern Ferraris.
Well, you talked about it before when you rode in the, what was it, a 650?
650, yeah.
Yeah, you said it's just shockingly fast.
Yeah, dead hook from 20 miles an hour.
Right.
No drama.
And that's the thing is, you drive in a Corvette now.
Yeah.
There's drama, right? But it's probably relatively close to as fast, like the equivalent Corvette.
Yeah.
It's probably close to as fast, but it's not going to come around a corner anywhere near where that 650 is going to be at.
No, but it is interesting because I wonder about modern cars not necessarily being collectible, but having the same, like, we look back at old cars because they're refreshing, they're different. And I think sometimes when you create this car that does everything, like let's use a BMW M3 for example. It does everything.
It does, yeah.
In 20 years, nobody wants a car that does everything. You want a car that does one thing really well.
Well, and the M3 in particular is a great example. Which M3 is desirable?
E46.
No. Honestly, which one is desirable as a collector's car? Which one do you want as a collector's car?
I want an E46 M3.
No, what do you want as a collector's car? You personally want an E46, right?
Yeah.
But as a collector's car, everybody wants an E30.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because the E46 is compromised in so many ways. But as a great car, you want it. Like, I still want an E36 in my garage. I will have, like, if I have stupid amounts of money, I will still have just this raw ass. That might very well be my daily. Like, I don't give a hell. Beat it to piss. E36 M3. I would like an E30. I thought about, honestly, I think the E36 is better looking than the E46. Yes, I agree.
With the right, with the aero kit from the lightweight car.
So you want the bigger wing?
Yeah, the big wing, the splitter, and everything.
The Felony Form kit is phenomenal on it too, though.
What is that?
That's the wide body kit. But the thing is, like, you would never know it's a wide body kit unless you looked at the fuel filler.
Is it just like a subtle flare?
It's a giant flare, but they mold it with a body really well. Actually, because we have this right here, I know.
What's it called?
Where the hell's my mouse? Felony Form.
Felony Form. Yeah. Also, so Drake Drake asked if we liked modern cars, and he said that question was directed to both of us. Not that many, actually, to be quite honest. There's only a few. It's I think I only like the modern McLarens. Not really any of the Porsches and muscle cars.
This car has a felony form kit on. I do want to get back to what Drake was saying, but this car currently has a felony form on.
I don't like how it's riveted on.
But
I think if it
this
was
is the whole kit.
on,
This is their sell kit, right? This is what they're selling it as. Again, felony form, right? You see what I mean? How it's a really wide body.
Do that one? The yellow one? Yeah.
I don't think that.
See, I don't like the rivets.
But what I was getting at with the actual fuel filler here, the
is it like a Rocky Bunny kit?
It's literally completely. They never adjusted it.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's the only thing that would give it away. But if you look at the car itself, the felony form kit actually does a really good job of making the car a lot wider without ruining the body lines. And I still think, God, the E36 is so good looking. This is making me want another one. You can kind of see the
I see.
what I was talking about.
I know
there.
What you mean. Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. I think I would make it so that it was flush, so that you sort of couldn't tell it was bolted on. Personally,
that's a 18. Yeah. What is it? 318.
Drake loves those, doesn't he? Don't you, Drake?
Sometimes. It depends on the day I talk to him. It seems
it
like
does actually.
But yeah. Anyway, so as far as when we're talking about, do you like any current car?
It's not a lot, honestly.
Do I like any current car? Yes. Do I prefer any current car? No.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, there's so many. I think I can legitimately say you can come up with any brand on this planet right now, and that their current model of their car is not the thing that I choose to take.
Be the older one.
I would take the older version of something. Now, it doesn't have to be that exact car, but like Alfa Romeo, do they make an 8C? No, so I'll take the 8C.
Oh, an 8C would be nice,
right? Porsche. What Porsche?
4C though. What about 4C?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about just the brand.
No. But a 4C is still a new car. I would have a 4C.
Yeah, I would, but I'd rather have an 8C, which is discontinued.
Yeah, but that's a new car, and we like it. So,
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
I actually do like the new M4s and M3s, which is sort of a guilty.
The M2 is insanely good looking, by the way.
See, I think the M4 is better looking, but it's too big.
It's too long.
Yeah, but it's better looking.
No, I disagree.
Really?
I think the M2 is phenomenal.
If they took the M4 and just shrunk it.
No, the M2. If the M2 was the same price range as the Cayman when I had bought it, I would have bought an M2 without even thinking about it.
Well, they will be in 5-6 years.
While, yeah. Well, the problem is I wanted the 1M, and that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
that's you want to talk about a collector's car? Go ahead. You guys got 30,000. Go buy your M2 or your M1 right now.
That is really interesting, by the way.
1M, right?
I'm surprised that car is a collector car because it's really it's
an M2. It is literally an M2.
No, I know it's really good, but at the time, it wasn't a proper M car. It still isn't a proper M car, and yet
it's never going away.
People treat it like a proper M car.
Yeah,
you know,
it's never going away. You want to talk about money? That is making money.
By the way, since we got this screen, I'd like you to look up Voltex S2000.
Okay.
They released a new.
It's not super clear. By the way, look at.
Oh yeah, that's not great.
Anyway,
we'll
give it a shot.
Yeah, Voltex S2000, Aero Kit, I guess.
VOLTEX.
VOLTEX. S2000 Aero Kit. They released a new kit at the.
An Aero Kit for you.
You know, I have developed. How do I say this?
Ow! Son of a bitch.
I don't hate Aero now.
Okay, which one am I looking at?
It's scroll down. Oh, geez.
Why is this?
This is awkward. Look up Tokyo Auto Salon.
S2000?
No, just add it onto that. Just put Auto Salon. It should come up. But anyway, it's a new kit that they released, and it looks awesome. It's like almost turns it into a
this one?
Yeah.
Is that gonna
look at that?
That's what we're gonna roll with?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me.
It's basically a Time Attack Aero Kit.
Nope. I don't want to copy that. I want a view image.
but it's like a GT 300. Actually, I don't know if they have the GT 300 series anymore. It's like it looks like a GT 500 car.
Yeah, it's blurry, but that's what it is.
Look at that. That's cool. On a track car, you couldn't run that on the street. There's no way. But if you had a dedicated track car, that is amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, okay, here's where I'm at with this one.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's track inspired, right?
Yeah.
So like if every single piece of downforce on this car is actually functional.
Yeah.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
Totally down with that. But the problem that is when I look at this car right now is it looks like it's trying really, really hard to be the track car that it isn't.
No, but it is.
Well, that's great. But the problem is it still ends at the design company's table. They need to know that you've got to design a car, right? Or body kit or whatever you're doing. That at the end of the day, it shouldn't look like it's trying to be a body kit. It should just be a body kit, right? It should be what it does successfully. This looks like it's trying so hard to be a body kit. And it's not actually that effective. Like, if this drove past me on the street, I go, what the hell did that guy do on the S2000? What did he do to that? Why did he break that? Why did he ruin it?
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I think it looks extremely functional.
None of it looks functional.
Really?
No, the diffuser is 39 feet long, or the splitter, rather, is 39 feet long.
Yeah.
You would kill, like, somebody that is not even in your visibility yet.
But you wouldn't run that on the street.
I'm not saying you'd
It's like
run
a time
that.
attack car.
No, I understand. I'm not saying you'd run that on the street. But at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is that it's an aero kit that looks like it's trying to be an aero kit, when ultimately you want an aero kit that is an aero kit. I'm not getting. I know I'm not getting my point across.
My head hurts.
I need listeners to help me here. Now I'm starting to rely on our live stream. I'm like, someone help me. But no, it's just, like you see these people that put like big wings on their cars and stuff. Mm-hmm. They put their splitter on, or they put their side skirts and whatnot, and you're like, you're going for the aero look. Haven't gotten it right. Now, this might do all of those things, right? Yeah. It might be the best aero kit, but it looks like it's trying to do everything that the rest of them are trying to do. Do you understand where I'm at?
I understand what you're saying. I just don't understand it.
Don't understand what?
That is aero.
It just looks like it's trying so hard to be aero.
You know what's happened here?
What?
Rocket Bunny has ruined
I'm not going to argue
everything.
That. I'm not going to argue that. And it's not just Rocket Bunny either. Liberty Walk is just as much.
Because they all have fake aero stuff that looks like the real stuff, but it's not. But this is actually real aero.
One of the two of them is pretty legitimate aero, though, isn't it?
Neither of them are.
No, I thought.
No.
Who does the stuff for the 911s?
No. Neither of them.
That's RWB, right?
Yeah.
RWB is mildly legitimate, right?
In the same way that Rocket Bunny and Liberty Walk are. You can put a wing on anything, and if it's sort of the right shape, it'll create downforce.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. You want my opinion? I don't like it.
Okay.
Leave your S2000 straight.
Okay.
Put a bigger like ducktail on it or something like that. Mm-hmm. Lower it, and you're done.
Okay.
It's a sports car. It's not a race car.
Okay. All right.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
No, I know. I've been that way in the past, but yeah. But from looking up parts and stuff for the S2000, I've actually grown to really appreciate Japanese tuning companies, like Spoon, Muse.
Spoon is cool, man. They do some bonkers stuff.
Yeah, but they do proper stuff.
Yeah,
the stuff they build, they race.
I remember looking up their 8th gen Civic that they did.
That thing turbo one,
bonkers, man.
Is that the turbo one?
I might be the turbo one. Okay. I don't remember, but the whole aero kit that they put on that thing is absurd.
But I just love the fact that they make stuff and then they go race it. Yeah. And they actually care about, like, when the car goes racing, it's a Spoon car. It's not just, we're just testing this aero. It's like, no, they're a full-blown
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I wish America had more of that.
America. Anyway, let's dive into our lists, because we're at almost 50 minutes already. Or we're over 50 minutes. Do you want to do both lists, or do you want to choose between one of the two?
Let's do.
Oh, we didn't talk about this. Let's talk about this really
Oh
quickly.
yeah,
So,
I forgot.
this by Chris Perkins from Road and Track. You can order your Aston Martin Valkyrie with lightweight paint, right? Okay. I hope you guys can't see this in the live stream. I don't think you can. It saves 1.5 pounds.
And I would take that option.
There are so many people that listen to that or see that or read that and go, that's stupid. And I don't think there's anybody in the Drivers Only family that doesn't go, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And the reason that's so cool, and not even diving into the article yet, the reason that's so cool is because they took that much effort to drop 1.5 pounds.
Yeah.
They went that far. That's like that. So that's like when I'm running my crew at work, right? I'm boss and I'm running my crew at work. And if somebody walks past some piece of garbage on the course, why did you walk past that?
Yeah.
You could have picked that up and you could have thrown it away, right?
Yeah. That's that.
Why did you not lighten that?
Yeah.
You could have lightened that. just lighten it. Right? So anyway, the obsessive attention to detail that is going into the upcoming Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Careful, we're going to end up with another Cormero.
Yeah, we are. Is something we haven't seen in a car since the McLaren F1. Much of that attention is focused on weight savings. So much so that the Valkyrie's mastermind, Adrian Newey, apparently balked when he saw the prototype of the V12 with the lacquered carbon fiber intake manifold. He demanded that the manifold come unlacquered as standard, which saves 80 grams. 80 grams.
Yep.
You probably wouldn't sweat 80 grams, nor would I, but that's what Adrian Newey, or that's what makes Adrian Newey different than us. That's why he designed 10 F1 Constructors Championship winning cars, and I'm sitting here blogging about him. Fair enough. In the spirit of obsessive weight savings, the Valkyrie has a lightweight paint option, which is detailed by the Top Gear video all about configuring the hypercar. Aston Martin's interior design manager, Libby May, I don't know how to say that, Meigh, told Top Gear that the 3 ultra light paints would be offered on the Valkyrie, and they save around 700 grams over the regular paint. That's just 1.5 pounds, 1.54 pounds. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now I realize that this basically amounts to the difference between having fries with your burger instead of a salad. But you just admire how it fits the spirit of the car. That's it, and this is exactly right here. He nailed it right here. After all, you have compromised the weight of the paint. You might as well compromise on everything. You're speccing out my Valkyrie. I'd rather you go with lightweight paint. It's sort of a decision you'd hope Adrian Newey would admire. At the end of the day, so the car should be under 2,300 pounds. By the way, the Senna that we talked about earlier is 3,030 pounds.
Yeah.
So
this car is going to be amazing. It's already incredible.
Dude, so, all right. This is, and I'm very confident in saying this. This is the new F1.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just there's no way around it. Everything about it is no compromises, and I think the best thing they could do at this point is make it an insanely good road car too. If they can find a way to make it really comfortable on the road,
yeah,
it will be the most iconic car that has ever been developed over the F1. And I don't. Name a more iconic car, right? Yeah. The McLaren F1 is the car. You ask any single car guy, right? If you see a McLaren F1 at a car show, that's the car. We were just at a car show with a Bugatti Chiron.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. If a McLaren F1 is parked next to it, I'm going to look at the McLaren F1.
That'd be really interesting, actually, to park the two next to each other and see which one draws a bigger crowd.
And that's the thing. Okay, park an F40 next to it.
Yeah.
You know, take any car you want. The McLaren F1 is the premier car. It's done everything right at every single stretch of the imagination. This is on the right pace. And I think
this has the attention to detail.
It does. It has absolutely the attention to detail. We talked about the engine a couple of weeks ago where they had said that they're testing it beyond anything they've ever tested in the engine, and it's just passing with flying colors. If this car is usable every day on the road and comfortable, there's no reason this is not immediately the most iconic car.
I think so, for especially for enthusiasts. I think it, and I do truly agree that it is the new F1, and I think it's going to be the car of the decade. You know, when you think back of cars from
It's
this era,
so special.
I'm curious if it'll spark more cars like it, sort of aero dominated cars. I mean, we saw it sort of with the Senna, but this is on another level.
The engine. Think about the engine, right?
Yeah.
What are we getting right now with every single supercar maker?
Same thing.
Same thing as that engine?
No. I mean,
no, we're not getting anything like that engine, right?
No, I mean they're all making the same thing, twin turbo V8 or
right. And this
similar.
and what is this? It's a big old V12.
Yeah, it's more like it's like the LaFerrari turned up to 15.
Yeah, if the LaFerrari is 11, this is 15. Yeah. They went, shit, we have a bigger dial.
But it's not the power, it's not the aero, it's just, you know, that they're going all out with this. It seems like, you know, imagine a creative meeting where instead of ideas being shot down, everybody just says, yeah, let's do that. You know, and that's what it seems like. Like somebody came up with, hey, let's use this, let's put work into you know, figuring out what paint might save some weight.
It's amazing. And it's really hard for me to sit back as somebody who has followed cars as closely as anybody that follows our podcast, right? To sit back and watch this whole development on this car from day one, because we didn't get to see day one development of the McLaren.
Yeah.
One, there wasn't social media the way there is today. Yeah. And two, we weren't old enough.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit back and watch every stage of press release and development of this car and all of the hype that surrounds it, all of the good things they've done, I can't help but sit back and wonder why the hell companies like Porsche and McLaren don't do this. Or Mercedes.
They don't want to.
So
they're creating that.
Bugatti kind of does it, right?
Yeah.
Because Bugatti's got the Chiron, and they're all about top speed, right? They're super focused on that whole, let's go as fast as we can in a straight line. We will be the fastest car in the world, fastest road-going car in the world. And if you try and challenge us, we'll beat you again.
Yeah.
Fine, right? I've got no issues. I don't think of Bugatti as anything different than I think of Aston Martin as of right now. But I have to sit back and look at Porsche in particular, because you know they have the capability. Mercedes, they have the capability.
Yeah.
Why are these companies in particular not
They're
doing
not gonna,
this? Why McLaren again? Why we just spent so much money on developing a Senna?
Well,
what could you have done?
I think
you lost that Ron Dennis effect. Is almost what it is.
Well, McLaren is coming out with that Speedtail, so they're going in another direction.
Yeah, which I think released that stupid ass F1 2050 car as well.
Yeah,
which I don't even want to.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. But the Speedtail is interesting because it has the same attention to detail, but it takes it in a completely different direction.
Oh, it goes more into the Bugatti realm.
Yeah, but
it doesn't go far enough.
Maybe we haven't seen that through yet. I think there's more to it, but
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so, because as it sits now, and I'm not trying to change the subject, as it sits now, it's not close enough.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to go further.
Yeah, but you know, Mercedes has the AMG Project 1 or whatever that is, but this makes that Project 1 look boring.
It does. It absolutely
does. You know?
Well, and does this not? So we've gotten these new WEC rules, right? That are going to look like we've got now the. What is it? The 919 is the road car. No, 918 is the road car. 919 is the race car. Let's get this mixed up.
Yeah.
So then you've got the 918. You've got the Project 1. Maybe the Senna. I mean, what is maybe the P1? I don't know what
that competes with this.
Yeah.
Koenigsegg's maybe.
The problem is you don't have. What I'm getting at is nothing competes with this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So everybody's developing their hyper cars. The only thing that's close to this on the market today is maybe the 1-to-1.
Yeah, but even
or the Gumpert Apollo.
Yeah, but those cars are the Koenigsegg's are great, but they're not this focused. You know, they're engineering marvels.
I disagree that they're not as focused.
Really?
The Koenigsegg's in particular are as focused. You watch anything that Christian von Koenigsegg puts out on YouTube. You watch all of his interviews. You listen to anything he says, whether he goes on a podcast or writes an article or anything of that sort. Every single thing he does is as detailed as what Aston Martin's doing. He might not have the technical capacity that somebody like Adrian Newey has.
But he's been making the same car for like 15 years. Let's be honest.
But
It's the same car.
But he is at the forefront of whatever technology is.
He's refined. Yeah, he's refined the car. I think the Regera is really interesting. I think it's more interesting than the one-to-one.
I wouldn't call the one-to-one not interesting.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But the one-to-one is just
it's not like calling the one-to-one a Pagani.
No.
I mean, like the Pagani's cool. It's got a ton of spirit. But it's like the one-to-one is a truly focused car that's going to be insanely fast.
But it's based off a car that's 15 years old. 10. I don't even know. When did the first Koenigsegg come out? The CC8.
When did the first goddamn Corvette come out? Like,
no. But it's seriously.
All over the place.
No. This is literally the same car. It's hardly changed. At least the Corvette has generations.
You're talking about this is the same as the CCX.
Yeah, basically, but with aero and more power.
Is it the same chassis?
Pretty sure. I mean, I'm sure he's refined it.
Okay.
But it's like, imagine if they took the original 911, but instead of just doing a clean sheet, they took it, okay, let's just modify it. It's like that.
If that's the case, then I'll concede the point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be kind of, I don't know, and therefore I'd be slightly surprised if he is legitimately using the same chassis over and over and over again.
I mean, he might have updated it, but if you look at the CC8 and you look at the one-to-one, you could Photoshop them on top of each other.
I believe that. I mean,
it's the same car.
Yeah. Well, it's also an insanely small company.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that, like, this is a completely clean sheet.
The problem, so I think this car in particular causes a major problem for anybody that is going into the new WEC rules. Because
you can't beat it.
Well, here's the problem. You can't tell Aston Martin that they're not allowed in because they developed too good of a car, right?
Yeah.
Like that. You just can't do that.
They're gonna get bopped.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, they're going to get bopped to hell. But for those of you that don't listen on a regular basis, bopped is balance of performance.
Yeah.
So they'll get bopped beyond belief. And it's just, it sucks because they have gone so over the top with the development of this car, and I love it. This is exactly what everybody that's ever watched any form of endurance racing and remembers the heydays of endurance racing wants. Right? Like, you work in a museum. You've seen you get to walk past 917s every day, 906s every day.
Yeah.
You look at that and go, that's a prototype car. Now, what's right here? What's on our screen? This is a full-blown prototype car, right?
Yeah.
919 is it's a prototype race car, but it's not like that's it's not a prototype in the same way that they went, do whatever the hell you want to do with it.
Well, I think,
and that's like, if you hold Aston Martin back from this, you've just completely discouraged any development.
Yeah,
because what they should do is go, all right, fine, beat Aston, and then Porsche is going to go, okay, I'm going to develop that, and then Mercedes is going to go, all right, we got to make the AMG 1 better. We got to make McLaren's going to look at whatever Senna or anything they want to come up with. We got to make that better. Where WEC or IMSA or whoever decides to pick up this series has to go from here is use this as an example and say, I don't care if you suck, beat it. That's the best possible scenario for racing.
I agree, but it'll only last 5 years.
Well, it will only,
and it'll be totally out of control. And that's not to say that I don't want it to happen. I do want it to happen, but the problem is
name one other period in any sort of major racing history that has lasted beyond 5 to 8 years.
No, I know they don't.
You look back at those 5 to 8 years.
You have to have development. You have to have decades that you look back on that are different. I was talking about this today with someone at work. You can't stop progress, because as soon as you do, you're essentially creating a scenario where you're going to look back in history. You go, wow, you remember those cars that were exactly the same as they are now.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to go back. Oh, wow. Remember the LMP1 hybrid days when Porsche was racing against the diesel and Toyota had the V8?
So take for example, a great example in this is, right, you've got the BMW Formula One engine, the qualifying engine, right?
Yeah.
Tell me anybody, like, name any person you've ever talked to that knows that engine and then doesn't follow it up with, oh yeah, it blew up immediately. Like it ran a couple laps and then blew up, right? But that's the fun thing about the racing, right?
Yeah.
So you have to create these kind of scenarios. And the problem is people look the developmental bodies in racing. I think they push too hard towards creating this environment where everybody's really equal for a really long period of time. And what I think they should be doing is pulling back on the governing body and saying, you guys develop whatever the hell you want to do. And these are your rules. Like, it goes back to Steve Matchett that came up with 100 kilograms of fuel.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. You've got this limitation, which is a major limitation. But what it does is opens the entire world of, we can develop this with this engine or that engine, and we use this kind of weight or that kind of weight. We can use this kind of drive system or that kind of drive system. We can go hybrid or non-hybrid.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that they can actually do. And that actually allows the developers to create a better product. And then you create your iconic cars that everybody's grown used to knowing. Because as of right now, like I legitimately think in 30, 40 years, we're not going to look back at the 919 or the TSO 40 or 4, whatever. What is the Toyota that's out now?
I think it's the 50.
Okay. We're not going to look back at either of those cars and go, that was really cool. Not the same way we look at the 962 or the 917.
I think we will, in a different way. They won't be,
because it's an early hybrid adapter. I mean,
no,
is that what you're like?
I think we'll look back at them and go, wow, those cars were really interesting because they were 1,000 horsepower hybrid machines
with tiny engines.
Yeah, but they were breaking lap records at Le Mans. That doesn't go out of style, and that's what I've maintained with electric cars. Okay,
that's true.
The reason Formula E sucks is because the cars are slow. Okay.
Yep.
Break lap records.
Look at the IDR on Pikes Peak.
Yeah. Break lap records.
And everybody loved the IDR.
Yeah, it's cool. Yep. You know.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Going fast doesn't go out of style, but also, you see a cycle, right? The rules get tight, and then they loosen them because it gets boring, and then it gets tight again because it gets out of control. That's just normal. It just ebbs and flows. But yeah, I forgot the point I was going to make. It was a really good one.
I mean, so this car, do you build the series against this car or around this car?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think you have to only govern the fundamentals. So you say you have 100 kilograms of fuel. That's your fuel tank.
Okay.
You have a 300 section rear tire. Okay. And the rest is free. Because by limiting the tire, it's like in Formula Drift, of all things. Right. They determine your tire size based off the car's weight. So
to be fair, the governing body in Formula Drift is actually pretty damn good. Like
when you
their
consider
judges are really disastrous, but to be fair, their governing body has got that kind of stuff figured out.
Yeah,
balancing. Yeah,
because if you say you've got a 300 section tire, figure it out. All of a sudden, you can't just run 1,500 horsepower.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to figure out a way to put that power down. So let's say you peg it back further. You say you got to run a 285 rear tire. All of a sudden, it goes, oh wow, well that's tricky. How are we going to put 1,000 horsepower down through a 285 rear tire? You better have a really good suspension design.
Right.
It's not just about more, it's about how you do it. And I think that's where Formula One has gone wrong, because it's more about how much you pour into it and less about how you do it. So the rules should make you think outside of the box instead of just pouring more money into the box.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So then let me ask you, because I would imagine this is what most people are going to ask you, because this is a good idea. What would your suggestion for Formula One be? If your suggestion for WEC is X amount of tire and X amount of fuel, it's the same thing for Formula One? Or like, do you bring in refueling for Formula One, or do you keep that removed?
No.
But what's your solution for something like Formula One?
Formula One, I think, should be totally unlimited. I think it should be sink or swim. If you
do
can't
you like
compete
the Steve
too bad.
Matchett 100 kilograms of fuel?
That's all you need.
Okay, so
enough
a
fuel,
limitation on the amount of fuel.
Enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. That's it.
Okay.
Because I think Formula One doesn't need rules. If you suck, you suck. If you're the fastest,
Formula One
the fastest.
should be the circuit racing of top fuel drag.
Yeah, it's a sprint race. Who cares if the cars blow up? An endurance race, you want something that's reliable and everything.
not to dive too deep into Formula One, but one of the biggest complaints I've always had with Formula One in the recent years is you have this many engines for the season.
Yeah.
Stop it. Come on.
It's a sprint race.
Yeah.
I just want to see. I want to see drivers driving flat out all the time.
That's right.
And if they're not doing that, then it's not a sprint race. It's a mini endurance race.
It is effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's dive into one of these two lists. I was willing to do two lists until we got this deep into the podcast, but we either have 15 of the coolest badges ever made or 21 of the greatest concept cars of all time. What is your pick? I'll leave it up to you.
15 because it has less.
Okay. So 15 of the coolest badges ever made. There's an Alfa Romeo badge on the front cover, but this one by Brian Silvestro from Road and Track, as per our usual list that we have. Anyway, the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. We're thrilled to hear that Chevy would be bringing back the Stingray nameplate back to the Corvette for its 7th generation. And the company even went as far as to design and include the badge of the Stingray on the side of the car. Cool. I didn't realize this was the route they were going to go down, where it was kind of like special edition badges. I just figured.
I thought it was like manufacturer badges.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have a problem with this. I expect to see something like a Super B on there at some point, or
Hellcat.
Yeah, stuff like that. So let's see where we go.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay, so this immediate. So right, Super Leggera is what we see right here. You know damn well Pininfarina is going to be on there.
True.
Okay. So Super Leggera is a coach building company that's penned some seriously pretty machines, including the new Aston Martin DBS. Its badge is fairly simple, just the same name written in script. But it's elegant as as elegant as the cars the company designs. Here we go on the next one. Yeah, no. I can't argue with this. You don't like it? It's iconic.
It is iconic, but
it's got to be one of the best badges. Come on. Really? Like of the manufacturer badges, seriously.
I don't know.
Anyway, the Jaguar Leaper. And it's even got a name, too. That's the other thing. It's got a name. I know it's kind of silly, but it's got a name. The thing about having your company called Jaguar is that you don't have to put a name of your brand on the car. You can just slap a badge depicting a big cat, and people will know exactly what it represents. The Leaper design shows here that it's coolest because it shows it in motion. Perfect for fast cars. Yeah, I mean, it's just... I love the... It's simple. It's clean. It looks nice. It's great marketing. It really is truly, genuinely good marketing.
Do you know what Jaguar was called before the war?
No.
SS.
Why?
I'm trying to remember. As I said it, I was trying to remember why it was called SS.
Okay. So when you say before the war and then you say SS, usually those two things don't mesh very well because the stormtroopers were not exactly very fond memories for many people.
Exactly. See, that's why they changed their name to Jaguar.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, it was SS sports cars.
Okay.
But yeah, they changed the name to Jaguar after that because they thought maybe they didn't want to be associated with the Nazis.
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't blame them. Anyway, the Ferrari Prancing Horse. Okay. Super iconic name or logo, rather. There's perhaps no logo more iconic than Ferrari's Prancing Horse. It's graced the noses of some of the most desirable, beautiful driving cars on Earth. Plus, it's cool. Just look at it. Before we dive any deeper, what do you think is a more iconic logo?
This or what?
I would have to think the Ford logo is more iconic.
Really? No, I think Ferrari.
If you showed everybody that logo, so just the Prancing Horse in yellow, not the actual Ferrari emblem, right? Well, I guess you'd have to show them the Ferrari emblem because at the end of the day, the Ford oval
is just a blue oval.
I still think the Ford blue oval is a more iconic thing.
I don't think so. I think it's the Ferrari logo. Do you know what that came from?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to go on a limb here, right?
Yeah.
It came from an Italian pilot fighter in World War II, right?
Yeah.
That was battling against some German fighter from Stuttgart that had the same Prancing Horse on his plane and either finally beat him or some variation of that. It had something to do with World War II and a pilot and Stuttgart. That's why you have the same horse on this as you do on Porsche.
Yes, it was
Kind of.
sort
like,
of.
I know I'm not dead on, right? I know I'm not dead on.
Well,
I've heard the story
yeah.
before, but I haven't heard it recently enough to remember all the facts perfectly.
As far as I know, I'm not 100% accurate, but it was a World War One fighter ace.
World War One.
Yes.
Okay.
Back when, because this symbol, you can find it on some of the early alphas as well. Because
Really?
yes, apparently he said to Enzo Ferrari, like, "Hey, use this symbol; it will give you luck," kind of thing.
Well, that's what the quadrifolio was supposed to be for.
Exactly. That's another weird story.
We should dive into that next.
Yeah, that'll probably that might be on here actually. But he said use this symbol will bring you luck, and eventually, he had it on his cars, and then eventually it became a symbol of his company. So it's kind of interesting. I wish if I had it in front of me, I could tell it better. But
I know it had some German influence between the fighters of various different pilots in some world war. But anyway, we'll dive into the next one. This is not what I expected.
This is a good one.
Okay, the Lamborghini Miura. Most of the Lamborghini cars are named after fighting bulls. The Miura is no exception. Designers took it a step further to actually put horns on the M and the tail on the A. The Miura's badge badging. Excuse me. Oh, that's all there was. Okay, I thought there was more to that paragraph. I read that as if I was going to continue.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, it's cool.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
It's very 70s or 60s, maybe.
Super. Yeah. Yeah. Very.
Hey,
I can't get behind, or I don't have a problem with this. I can totally get behind this. Pontiac The Judge. Just love that name. It's so ridiculous. The Judge was a trim package offered in the Pontiac GTO starting in 1969. Aside from an uprated engine, the Rally. Why would they phrase that as uprated? Should not call it upgraded.
See, writers like to use words that aren't the normal words because it makes it seem more interesting.
Okay. Anyway, aside from an uprated engine on the Rally 2 wheels, and the Rally 2 wheels, they got these perfectly 1970s in period The Judge badges.
Yeah.
The Judge. Super iconic. Come on, the M badge.
It's cool.
Remove the 3, right? So
just the M badge. Yeah, I do like the M badge.
So BMW M. If you see three colored slashes next to the letter M on the back of a car, you know it means something serious in business. The Motorsport badge has been an iconic marker for spotting some of the greatest BMWs ever produced, so much so that people buy fakes and slap them on their non-M cars to get some of the glory. Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I think we've said this on the podcast before. You don't own a BMW M car, right? And you get in a BMW M car and you go, that's stupid. There's so many M badges all over the place. And then you suddenly own the BMW M car and you're like, these are really, really cool. I'm so glad there are BMW M badges everywhere. It makes me feel like I have something special.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the first time that I drove my first 944.
Mm-hmm.
And there was about halfway through the trip, I looked at you and I went, I'm driving a Porsche.
Yeah.
And it's just that same kind of feeling. It's like, that I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. There's no way I could afford this. I should not be doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally get behind. This is probably the best badge on the list thus far, for me at least. Okay,
I knew it. I knew this striker would be on here.
Yep, here it is, the Dodge Viper Snake, as they call it.
It was called the Striker.
It is called the Striker. All Dodge Vipers have some variation of the snake as a logo, but early designs may be the coolest. The snake actually is smirking on this one. It's the Striker.
Yeah.
The Maserati Trident. The Trident is a 3-pronged spear, most famously associated with Poseidon, the mythical god of the sea. It may not have much to do with cars, but it sure does look cool pasted on a Maserati. I disagree. I don't think it's that special, nor does it pertain to anything. If the company started with a W, if it was Waserati, seriously, right?
What?
It sounds stupid, but come on. It looks like a W, does it not?
It does, actually, now that I see that.
Right. So if it was Waserati, you could get behind it. But because it's Maserati, and it has nothing to do with any sort of Trident whatsoever.
Yeah, I wonder what the story is on that now, because it really doesn't make any sense.
No. None. Zero. Nada.
There it is.
Alfa Romeo man-eating snake. That's literally what they called this. So Alfa
Yep.
Romeo's logo depicts a man being eaten by a snake. It doesn't get more serious than that. Do you know the history behind this?
I do. It's supposed to be he's being reborn, not necessarily eaten. And then obviously the flag on the left is Milan, but that symbol is supposed to be he's being reborn. He's not being eaten technically.
See, I always thought of this as fire. Right? I just figured it was like a dragon spit.
Well, if you look at the old ones, it does look like a little stick figure. The newer ones, they sort of watered it down.
Okay.
But the older logos, because I was looking at one of the cars in the collection one time, and I looked down, and I'm like, is that a dude?
Next time I come down, remind me to look at some of the older ones.
Okay.
Because I'm curious. Okay, if you go with iconic, yeah, I can understand this. The Subaru STI. Subaru's neon-themed STI badge lettering has become a staple of the company's top-tier performance cars for decades. When you see a loud Subaru rolling through, this is the badge you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's true. Iconic, yeah. Cool, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah. This is a badge that will go down as one of the best badges ever.
Yeah.
Better than the Hellcat. Better than anything they've ever come up with. This is a special badge. The Dodge Demon. The Demon logo found on the most powerful Dodge production car ever is as cool as you think it is. It's a demon head with horns, fangs, and a sinister smile. It makes a regular Hellcat logo look positively tame. And you're absolutely dead right. That is a perfect paragraph. There's something so special about that logo. It will go down in history as one of the best logos ever put on a car.
And the Hellcat logo is pretty good too.
It is. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was on this list.
Yeah.
I swear I have not read this list. I'm just saying. Anyway, the Dodge Hellcat, also a very cool logo. I'm not going to disagree with this. The Demon may have the top dog now, but the Hellcat logo is still pretty damn cool. It's the car that started off Dodge's modern horsepower ascent. Plus, who doesn't like a predatory cat head on the side of their car? I agree. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good logo. I like the idea of having a logo slapped to a car.
Me too.
The same reason you've got this set up here. The Shelby Cobra. The mean-looking Cobra you see here is graced on the panels of Shelby's most powerful cars. It definitely fits the part. I agree. Like, one of my favorite things about the Mustangs that Shelby touches is that there's no horse anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
True.
I love that it's the snake.
Yeah.
And that kind of aspect to it, I think, is really cool. But anyway, final one on the list. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, this is on all the Koenigseggs.
Seriously?
Yeah. And that's
every single one of them?
Yeah, it says why.
Okay. The Koenigsegg Ghost. Koenigsegg is actually took this Ghost logo from the fighter jet squadron that occupied the airfield where the automaker builds its cars today. The squadron used it on their airplanes, and now Koenigsegg uses it on their cars. I guess that's cool detail.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Very cool. Anyway, so yeah, that'll do it for our list. We're out of anything else that we need to talk about. This was a long podcast, man.
Hey.
We did hour 26. What's up?
There's the car and the coilovers.
Yeah, that's the Cayman. Those of you that haven't seen it on any of our social media, you're failing. But there it is, right there. That's my background on my computer because it looks good. At least I hope it looks good.
I would just like to say it looks exactly like how I photoshopped it a couple months ago.
It does. Actually, I have that Photoshop, and I'll show you. It's barely lower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a little bit lower.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, it does look really good.
It does.
Yeah.
I do think you need the same front tire as the rear, though, or at least the same stretch, because the front tire you can tell is wider than the wheel.
Yeah. The thing is, the front tires were free. The rear tires are paid for.
No, I understand.
So when the front tires wear is when I'll get matching tires.
Yeah.
They are both Continentals. One's one generation older than the other. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So same brand, same everything like that. But yeah, I do agree with you. But yeah, with that said, please follow us on all of our social media. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Obviously, you can watch the live stream. And you can also go on to... You're concerning me by looking over.
I can't read.
Oh, Nicole said good podcast, guys. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
We got to meet Nicole at the FGCU Motor Show the other day, so that was nice. It was good to meet a fan.
Yeah, we have a fan.
We have one. It's amazing. We got so many listeners, but we have one fan.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So go follow us on all of our social media. You can obviously follow us on Facebook, which we don't post to very often. Twitter, which we don't post to very often. YouTube, which obviously all these episodes get posted on. So please go subscribe to us on there. And then Twitter is. No, I talked about Twitter. Instagram. Yeah. Instagram, we do post on more often than any other page. So please follow us on Instagram in particular. It's Drivers Only USA on every single one of them. We will be doing more videos on YouTube. When we put the coilovers on for David on the S2000, we will be doing some very rudimentary filming of it. The idea is just to get you guys more in our garages, essentially. Just get you guys some more exposure to what we do on a regular basis. It's a way for us to connect. I don't intend to be editing everything super nice and neat and everything like that. I was going to
say, I don't know who's going to edit that because I literally cannot run Premiere.
No, that's exactly right. But there's nothing stopping us from going into a 15-minute live clip where it's just like, hey, this is David currently working on this part of his suspension. And
I'll be swearing.
Whatever ensues, whatever ensues. So follow us on all of that. But the biggest thing that will help us more than anything else is subscribing on iTunes. That moves us up any charts that you can ever come up with more than anything else. So please subscribe to us. I don't care if you rate us. If you do, that would be a big help. But if you don't, whatever. I don't give a damn. Anyway, David, end us on a single word. It is down to you. That's it.
Wazirati.
Anyway, live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in, guys. I will see you next week.
Goodbye.